Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a literal medical mystery that is hiding right in plain sight. We're talking about a disease that completely masquerades as minor, everyday ailments until, well, it's almost too late. So let's unravel how this stealthy condition actually operates and, much more importantly, how you can spot it before it spots you.
Let's just jump right in with a question that might seem a little unexpected. Does your face turn red when you drink alcohol? For a lot of people, a flushed face is just this quirky physical trait, maybe kind of embarrassing at parties, but looking at the medical data, it tells a completely different, much more serious story. That red flush actually signals a remarkably higher risk of developing esophageal cancer. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
The science behind that red flush is honestly fascinating. See, when you drink, your body breaks the alcohol down, and in doing so, it creates a highly toxic carcinogenic byproduct called acetaldehyde. People who get that red face are essentially, well, weak to alcohol. Their bodies just lack the ability to efficiently clear out this specific toxin. So instead of being safely processed out of your system, it accumulates, literally bathing the esophagus in a cancer-causing chemical.
Just to put the scale of this into perspective, every year in Japan, there are roughly 26,000 new cases of esophageal cancer. Now, that's only about a quarter of the volume of, say, stomach or colon cancers. But here is the critical catch. While the overall number of cases is lower, the survival rate post-onset is notoriously low. It is an incredibly aggressive illness once it takes hold.
And the demographics on this are pretty stark. Men are disproportionately affected here, developing it at a rate of 6 to 1 compared to women. Plus, the risk sharply increases right as people enter their 50s, and it just continues to climb steadily through their 60s and 70s. So, listen, if you're a guy over 50, this is a topic you absolutely need to be paying attention to.
Now, beyond age and genetics, there are three primary daily behaviors that constantly irritate the delicate lining of the esophagus. First up, heavy alcohol consumption. Second, smoking tobacco. No surprises there, right? But the third one actually catches people off guard. Frequently eating very hot or spicy foods. Think about it. Sending scalding hot soup down your throat causes this repetitive trauma. And over decades, that daily damage creates the literal perfect environment for cancer cells to develop.
All of this builds up to a truly terrifying reality, the silent start. I mean, you'd think a deadly cancer growing in your throat would set off massive alarm bells, wouldn't you? But roughly 20% of all cases experience absolutely zero early symptoms. None. These cases are only discovered by pure chance during comprehensive health checkups. So you simply cannot wait until you feel sick before taking this seriously.
Now, for the other 80%, the early warning signs are incredibly subtle. And usually just starts with this really vague chest discomfort, maybe a light tingling right behind the breastbone. Then, that progresses to a strange sensation of something kind of catching when you swallow. And think about how easy it is to just dismiss a minor swallowing hiccup as a mild case of acid reflux, totally ignoring the real hidden threat.
But there is one early symptom that is a massive red flag. The source material notes this very specific patient experience. Hot drinks strongly sting the chest. We aren't talking about drinking cold water here. When your hot coffee or tea causes a sharp, stinging pain right in the middle of your chest area, that is a defining symptom. It completely differentiates this disease from your standard everyday heartburn, and it requires immediate medical attention.
And there's an incredibly dangerous trap with this disease too. It's the illusion of recovery. Say you have that minor stinging from hot coffee, right? You might worry about it for a week or so. But then, as the cancer actually progresses, those early symptoms can just vanish. Suddenly, your swallowing feels totally fine again. It gives you this completely false sense of security, all while the cancer is quietly digging deeper and advancing.
By the time the symptoms actually return, the entire landscape of the disease has drastically changed. We've gone from mild stinging to severe systemic issues. Late-stage symptoms include things like a hoarse voice, simply because the tumor is literally pressing against the nerve that controls your vocal cords. Or you might develop a persistent cough as it invades the windpipe, or even feel this intense, unrelenting back pain as the cancer spreads backward into the deep tissue.
Because these late-stage symptoms are so varied, patients often fall into this awful misdiagnosis trap. They end up going to completely the wrong specialists. A hoarse voice, well, that sends them to an ENT. A cough, off to the pulmonologist. Back pain, they go to orthopedics. Picture this, an orthopedic doctor might take a spine x-ray, see perfectly healthy bones, and just send the patient home with painkillers. Meanwhile, the esophageal cancer remains completely hidden from view.
Everything here completely hinges on timing. The 5-year survival rate for esophageal cancer, if caught in the early stages, is actually a very promising 75%. But if you fall into the trap of waiting for those late-stage symptoms like the back pain we just talked about, that survival rate plummets to less than 20%. Early detection is an absolute literal life-or-death necessity to catch this before invasive surgery becomes your only option.
So the big question, how do we actually catch it early? Well, a lot of standard health checkups rely on a barium swallow. You know the drill, drinking that famously terrible chalky liquid so they can take x-rays. But while it's common, barium actually frequently misses the very early, subtle signs of this specific cancer. So to be truly safe, you need to pivot to the gold standard, which is an endoscopy. Having that direct visual inspection is highly effective for finding this cancer when it is still treatable.
Now, I know what you're thinking. An endoscopy sounds incredibly uncomfortable. But modern medicine has really evolved here. Doctors now use this ultra-thin tube that can actually be inserted through the nose, which dramatically reduces that awful gag reflex. In fact, it is so gentle that heavy anesthesia isn't even required anymore. It's practically a painless, low-burden procedure. If you're over 50 and you have any of the risk factors we discussed today, you should seriously consider making this part of your annual checkup.
So, we've uncovered how esophageal cancer kind of uses our daily habits against us, right? How it hides behind disappearing symptoms and completely tricks specialists. But the solution is just a simple, painless look inside. So as we wrap up this explainer, I will leave you with this question. When was the last time you truly looked inside to protect your future? Don't let a flushed face be the warning sign that you just brush off at a party. Take control of your health today. Thanks so much for joining me for this breakdown of the source material. Stay curious, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next time.